Greetings, everyone. We are live with another great episode of the show, D Live, the Convo series. And Jaime Castle is going to be joining us momentarily here. We'll give everybody just a couple moments to come on. So please feel free if you have any questions, any comments for Jaime. Please drop those in the comments. I'll keep an eye on those. And as always, on the show here, we've had so many great guests, and we've got more coming up in the coming weeks as well. But folks really love to hear kind of that personal side, get to know whether they're, people that are engaged in civic life in Cincinnati or are political candidates for the Democratic Party, kind of get to know more about them as people, as human beings and their story and kind of how they got to be here. And folks are very interested to hear that. So with that being said, we've got people joining us here already. So just a reminder, please share this video so we can get Jaime's story out to as many people as we possibly can. It's challenging in these times of COVID to get our great candidate's story out. So to the degree that we could share this and get more eyeballs on it, that would be great, because she has a great story that we all want to hear. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments, and I will keep an eye on those. So, Jaime, welcome. Thank you for joining me here this evening.
Hello, dear. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. And people have been sharing this all day long and got the post out there, and so that's great. And so, typically what we like to do is just kind of basically start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you native Cincinnati? Where did you grow up? And then, we'll kind of bring it up into the present time then and talk about the campaign and what's going on in the 2nd Congressional District right now. So, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Let us get to know you.
So, my name is Jaime Castle, everybody who hasn't met me yet. I am a native Cincinnatian. I grew up in Green Hills, which many places around Cincinnati say, "What? Where's that?" And then you say, Winton Woods, that area, and they get it. But it's funny, being from Green Hills, I didn't understand that east side, west side thing going on, because we were kind of central out of it.
Right.
But now I live in Mount Washington, so I get it. But Green Hills is amazing. I grew up, in the creek and riding my bike to the Creamy Whip. I went to Green Hills Public Schools all the way up until 7th grade. And then Green Hills and Forest Park combined to Winton Woods, and everybody freaked out about the change. So that got me sent to parochial school. But that was fine, too. We had a small school, OLR, in Green Hills. And then I went on to Roger Bacon, which is in St. Bernard. So we would drive every day to Green Hills, to Roger Bacon, all the way down Winton Road. But what's interesting, too, is I'm for District 2 right now for Congress. And District 2 is cut so strangely. But it has Green Hills in it, and that's like the central kind of cutout part. But for me, I just love that so much because it's hometown girl, and I would love to be a champion for them. But
well, I was gonna just to interrupt you. I was just thinking that it kind of speaks to our gerrymandering that we have with our congressional districts, where they've split, the city of Cincinnati and Hamilton County in half, basically, to divide our votes. And it's crazy how your district, and when we get up, we'll get to that when we start talking about your actual race and kind of outline for us, really the breadth of the district. And I know you have family in different places. So, but that just, your east side, west side, but it's the same district. It's just kind of it's crazy.
Yeah, well, my parents, so we were in Green Hills all through my childhood, through college, and then my parents retired out to Adams County, which is still in my district, and it's an hour away.
Perfect.
But Green Hills, it's a small town, everybody kind of knows everybody, and real comfortable. I have 4 siblings, 2 half siblings, and then 2 full siblings, but they're all my siblings, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. So I kind of grew up like the middle child, very much the middle child. So I had that outgoingness that, was kind of pay attention to me quality when I was little, because there were so many of us. But I ended up going to Roger Bacon, and then I had fantastic English teachers there. and I was in drama as well. And when I went to Miami University, I went to become an English teacher because I had such a great experience. And I went back to Roger Bacon to teach and do all the plays there. So that was really interesting and eye-opening because you have this idea of your teachers, and it's another thing to actually work with them as a colleague. And that was a lot of fun. Fun fact, I taught with Don McGrath, who is Amy McGrath's father.
Oh, wow.
Who was running against Mitch McConnell. Yeah, he taught at Roger Bacon. He sadly died of cancer a couple years ago, but he was hilarious and humble, and you would never think that he would have created this daughter that's like, I'm going to go beat Mitch McConnell, but it's really neat. So fast forward, I'm now in Mount Washington. I did teaching, and then I took a break because I was exhausted doing English teaching and drama, because any high school English teacher will know it takes 40 minutes to grade a paper, and you've got 120 students, and then I'm after school painting sets and making costumes, and I just needed a break. At that time, I met my husband, and we started a family. And when my kids got to be school age, I was back in the schools with them. I was doing volunteering.
Excuse me, just a moment. As a matter of fact, we have Alicia Reese, who hopefully will be a guest on our show very soon, calling me at this moment. Alicia, I didn't mean to hang up on you, but I'm on live with Jamie right now. So if you're watching this, that's why I just had to click over right now. But hopefully we're going to have Alicia Reese, our next Hamilton County Commissioner, on the show very soon as well.
I'll tune into that.
But sorry, Alicia, I don't want her mad at me. But this is really important right now, so we'll have her on soon. But yeah, that was that interruption. So you never know what's going to happen here. We're live as we speak. All right, go ahead, Jamie.
All right, so I'm at Mount Washington Elementary School. My daughter started kindergarten and was in the classroom. And it was strange for me because I was used to high school kids, right? But just being with the kindergartners, oh my goodness. I love being back in the schools. And I led the PTO there for a couple years. And then my daughter switched to Hyde Park School for the gifted program, and my son went along. And I got to know that community. And I was there so much, I was like, I should just go work for them. So I started working for Cincinnati Public Schools as a substitute, and I would work at Mount Washington School, Hyde Park School, and then now I added Walnut Hills School to it. So mainly those three schools. I've done some other schools, but it was nice because I could control my schedule, and that kind of was my way of seeing, do I want to go back to this full time, and what does that look like?
Right.
So that's what was happening when me running for Congress happened. And that was nice too, because I had that flexibility to be able to take a break from working as much and learn how to campaign. I was also very active in our church. I'm a Unitarian Universalist, and I was busy running the Board of Trustees as the president. So I've done a lot of service and of service. And for me, with running for Congress, it was just another way to run for service. And I guess that goes to the story of why I'm running for Congress. Did you have any background of my story there?
Well, I can't wait to hear it. But one question I do want to ask you before we get into that, it's, this is your first campaign, right? And as a first-time candidate, and you went from 0 to 100 right into this congressional campaign. And one of the things, and even having run for Cincinnati City Council on that level, not even on a national level like you're at, but it's cutthroat, and it's people playing for keeps. They come after you, they attack you, especially with social media, and sometimes it gets we know it gets really kind of down and dirty. And I've had people tell me that's why I wouldn't ever run for office. I just don't want to subject myself or my family to that. How has that experience as a first-time candidate? How has that been in terms of that? Has your family been prepared for everything that's involved with this? Because it's a lot.
It is, and I think it's even more so for women because
Sure.
There's that misogyny that gets thrown at you, and we get, our looks get judged for
Yep.
good or bad. It's kind of sad. They don't see if you're funny or intelligent or your great ideas. It's like, how does she look? What is she wearing? And that's really unfortunate. For me, it was scary, but when I stepped up to run, I didn't overthink it, and I'm glad I didn't, because I might have psyched myself out.
Yeah.
But my family, I was a little bit worried, but they were 100% behind me. My parents are just so proud. So I guess you just have to be really passionate and motivated and be able to be strong enough to look past that. Oh my gosh, political Twitter is a whole different world. I would be working before Twitter, following funny people. Now political Twitter, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another world, and it can get cutthroat. And even, attacks at me. And I wonder too, there's so much going on with other candidates too. It might have been worse, but I've gotten my share. But you kind of just shake it off, and you keep your eyes on the prize and focus on what's important.
Right. Yeah. So tell us then, your thought process and how, in your story in terms of running and as a first-time candidate. Tell us more about that.
So when the impeachment hearings were happening back in November, Brad Wenstrup was a part of that, and he was doing the interrogating of Dr. Hill, and he was very grandstanding and smug and condescending. And my friends and I were watching that separately, but we're talking about it on Facebook and saying, oh, I cannot wait to vote that man out.
Right.
And, oh, he's the worst. And then in one of our groups, someone posed the question, we don't have a candidate. Who's our candidate? No one has stepped up. And I hadn't realized it until then. And I didn't know the timeline of filing, how to file, but it was more the question was posed. And she said, one of us should do it. And there was a lot of back and forth, like, not me, you, not me. And then I just kind of said, I'll do it. How do I do it? I will do this.
That's amazing.
And it was a Sunday. And that Thursday, I was in front of the Eastside Democratic Group. Hello, Eastside Dems. Met Bonnie Tunkelman, met Brent Edwards, who is my campaign manager. That Thursday, met Jill Schiller, met a bunch of the candidates, and gave a speech like, I'm going to run for Congress for District 2. And it was that fast. It was a Sunday to a Thursday. And I was working that week, all week, at Mount Washington Elementary, teaching 6th grade social studies. So I didn't have a lot of time to really process it as well. And I was getting text messages from David Pepper, and he was like, how's the filing going? Give me a call. And I'm like, who is this? Because I came from outside of this political world.
Right.
And I had so much to learn. But he was great, gave me lots of advice. We got it filed, like 2 days it took me to get the signatures. And by Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving, I got the call that I was good to go. So it was a crash course. Jill gave me a number of a lawyer to call. She's like, talk to him, talk it out. And I spent a half an hour talking to him, him talking to me. And the whole time he was basically saying, what are you doing? You got to start small. You can't just run for Congress. You don't have the money. You don't have the connections. Like, he was talking me out of it and then billed me $100. But the whole time I'm like, this isn't me starting a political career. This is me stepping up, because I can't wait around for a hero. I have to be the hero.
Right.
It was bigger than me. So, I keep that in my brain, and I focus it, and I'm cautiously optimistic all the time, because I have to be. Because I knew going in, it's a presidential election year, and anything can happen. I never knew all this was going to happen, mind you, but I knew I wanted a choice as a voter, and I knew so many more people like me. And I just wasn't happy with my representative, so I'm going to challenge him. That was my thinking.
No, it's an amazing story, and I think it's so important because, especially these days, I think most of us are looking for real people that care and are passionate, are not the career politicians that are in it for power and money and all the other reasons. And we see the corruption and how like what's going on in Columbus right now. We've had Jessica Miranda, a couple of our other state reps and folks on and talking about that. And, I think this is what we need to see more of, and people that aren't afraid. And I think you're right, as a first-time candidate, you can't overthink it. You just kind of dive in and go for it, and then just, kind of muddle through it. What would you say the biggest, and then I want to get on and talk more policy stuff. What have been the highlights? What have been the challenges that you've been up against so far, and how have you handled those, or things that you didn't, I had no idea it was like this, and that was really tough, or this has been great?
Yeah, and I think going into this too, I'd love to be a role model to people like me, that everyday people should be running for office, because that gives us empathy to what, everyday people are going through. I'm not super rich. I'm not the elite. I've been in the classrooms. I've been with other mothers that are struggling. I have that real life experience, and we do need more people like me running for office. We need a seat at the table, and we need to make the table bigger. So for me, I didn't know what running for Congress looked like when I said I would do it, but I knew I'll learn it. I'm smart, I'm motivated, and people will help me. I've got support, and it's true. Like, all these people were helping me. Jill and Janet, who ran before, and Aftab and David Pepper. I mean, so many great people. Connie Pillage was great too, helping me. And I knew to ask questions when I didn't know, and to rely on the people I trust. So I didn't know there was all these different Democratic groups all around Cincinnati. Like, that was mind-boggling. I'm like, oh, we need to get this information out there. There's people like me that don't realize this is all happening here. So if you're home, you have a neighborhood Democratic Party. Find them, Yep. Join them, be active. We need new energy. We need fresh energy, and that's how the change starts. Everybody. We were taught when we were little to not talk about politics, not talk about religion, because it can be divisive. But we should have been taught how to talk about these things. It doesn't have to be divisive. So that's what we need to do. We need to get involved. We need to talk about politics, find the common ground. I didn't know the fundraising aspect of it and how hard that would be. And, it's constant. Running for Congress is a full-time job. Yep. That doesn't pay. Right. But, hopefully it pays off, and you can have that honor of service. It's just, I think about being there, and it's just flood tears. The high parts have been the connections I've made, the people I've made. I look at just my Facebook page, how much it has exploded with amazing people and this new energy, and that's really great. I loved all the events I could go to before the shutdown, and I was traveling all throughout my district. But that was the hard part too, because my district, if I had to go the farthest, it's going to be 2.5 hours away. Wow. I'm going up to Chillicothe. But also, before the shutdown, I was getting a lot of people reaching out to me because Wenstrup was not responsive, wasn't helping. And that was heartbreaking, because there was really sad stories and people struggling. And it brought that to my attention, but I'm like, I have to win. I have to win for them so I can help them. So that was hard. But that's another motivation to keep going, because there's people that need help. Adams County is one of the poorest in our country, but it's got so much potential. They just need the resources, and they need the time and the energy. And I would love to be there in person and do in-person town halls and have these collaborations with all these neighborhoods.
What? You will actually be available to the people? You will not run and hide from your constituents? Is that what you're saying? Have we ever heard of such a thing in the 2nd District?
Even the ones that criticize. You can't do better if you don't know, and you have to be available.
Right. No, that's amazing, and I think that's one of our biggest complaints. Here not far away, down here in Over the Rhine in the 1st District, which somehow includes Over the Rhine and Franklin in northern Warren County. Like, how does that even work? But I have not seen Steve Shabbat down here in Over the Rhine. I mean, I've been looking. I don't know. I have friends in Westwood. I'm in Westwood quite a bit. I haven't seen Steve Shabbat in Westwood. I don't know where he's at. Your opponent, where, I don't know. What do they do? Where are they at? AWOL. And so I think it's great to have, somebody who's spent time in the classroom, has a family, and gets it, in terms of wanting to be connected to the people. It's amazing, and that's how it should be, right?
It should be. It should always. That's my motto too. For the people.
I love it. I love it. That's perfect. So tell us a little bit about your platform. Tell us about the issues that you're very passionate about. Of course, in a national congressional race like this, there's everything from foreign policy, right, on down to COVID response and all of the things that are happening today. There's a whole plethora of things going on. What are you really focused on, and what have you heard? I'm interested to hear this also. What are the feedback that you're getting in the 2nd District in terms of what people are really concerned about? Obviously, healthcare is a huge issue. What types of things are you hearing? What are you going to focus on when you are our next congressperson in the 2nd District?
It's interesting too, because when you become a candidate, all of a sudden you have to define yourself, and that's a trick in itself. Because am I liberal? Am I moderate? Depends on the issue. I don't know, and that's something I've been discovering. For my top 3, my elevator pitch, I say the number 1 is the for the people, being beholden to the people, not the special interests. Then fixing healthcare, protecting it, strengthening it, and I'm on the camp that I want universal healthcare for all. I think it needs to be done so perfectly so that it succeeds. So it has to be in steps. You start with strengthen and protect the ACA. You protect people with pre-existing conditions, which my opponent did not even show up to vote yes to. So that is a big thing with me. My sister has MS. She's in Adams County, and that's scary if she loses her health care. So fix the ACA, strengthen all the things that the Trump administration has done to beat it down. Then get a public option that is not for profit, that people can buy into. All the while, you bring in all these experts that can develop a system that works for our country. If we're the greatest country in the world, we should have the best healthcare in the world.
Right.
I don't see why we don't deserve that, and we need that. We have the best military in the world, but what's the use of spending $700 billion to protect us if we're not healthy? If we're dying, we can't afford our medicine. So that needs to be done so right in a sustainable way, and it can be done with all the experts, economic people, healthcare people. You bring them all to the table and you get it done for the people.
Well, let me touch on the healthcare for just a moment, because that's a personal issue with me. So, and this is where I have, as a police officer for 26 years, injured in the line of duty, which is why I retired a little bit early when I did in 2016. But as a retired police officer in the state of Ohio, on our pension fund, I had 1 year, and then they kicked us off a group plan. We're actually on the ACA, so myself as a single person, $7,000 deductible, $500 a month for that. It's basically, unless you're going in for some major surgery, it's like you don't even have health care. And this just kills me when I hear the Republicans thanking me for my service, but yet they want to take away our collective bargaining. They want to privatize our pensions and hand that over to Wall Street. And then from a healthcare perspective, we have retired police officers, firefighters across the country really, but certainly in the state of Ohio, given our particular situation here, that struggle to find affordable health care after all of that. And meanwhile, they say back the blue, wrap themselves in the flag. And we've got retired police officers and their, perhaps widows or widowers that can't even have health care, and especially if you're out of state and it gets in the weeds. It's terrible. It's terrible. And it's all this stuff on the surface level. But when it comes down to it, thank me for my service, but throw you to the wolves. This has got to stop.
Well, think too, if you've got healthcare for all, that's going to help people start your own business. You can change jobs because it's not tied to your job anymore. So you're not stuck in a job you hate. It could be a giant boom for the economy.
Right.
So many people don't start businesses because they'll lose their insurance, and it shouldn't be that way. And now with all these people losing their jobs, they're seeing what that's like.
Yep.
Because COBRA is also super expensive and it's not sustainable. So the pushback to healthcare for all, for even the not-for-profit option, I don't get it. I mean, people that would be pushing back, they have something in it for them. I can only imagine.
Follow the money. It's always follow the money. That's
Yep.
always how it goes. So, and I interrupted you before you were. And I'm sorry if you lost your train of thought, but you had
Nope,
a third point there.
Third point, environment.
Mm.
Where does our drinking water come from, friends? It's the Ohio River. It is getting not watched for pollution, the deregulations, all these waterways. We've got a nuclear waste site in Pike County on an aquifer. We've got hydropetrol factories upriver, all these things. That is scary, and that's the thing that when I talk to the younger generation, the environment is scary to them, how it's not being protected. And it's strange the way you can just change your words. If some people push back against climate change and think that's a hoax, you can say, okay, I'm against pollution, and they can get on board with that.
Right.
So, semantics matter, and everyone wants clean air, clean water, clean earth. So making sure the EPA is strengthened. It's ridiculous, the people that Trump has put in the cabinet and all these important positions. It's mind-boggling. So
And then
there's
meanwhile,
so many worthy issues, but those are my top three.
And to that point, we know that in West Virginia and other places along the Ohio River, by executive order or just the EPA rolling back some of these, Obama era regulations, again, follow the money. But it's like, okay, just as of tomorrow, we're just able to dump more stuff in the Ohio River, upstream somewhere outside of Pittsburgh. And meanwhile, the city of Cincinnati here is drawing it in water off the river. And of course, it's filtered and all these kinds of things. But that has happened, and it's just like, okay, and it's not okay. It's terrible.
No, it's not okay. So we need to change our leaders.
Indeed. So what's your plan for doing that? Let's talk about a little bit about the campaign, how that's going. It's been a challenge, really for all of the candidates here in 2020 to kind of manage through these COVID times where typically you'd be out at events, fundraising when we're in the middle of a recession, maybe a depression. How's it been in terms of the campaign and in terms of getting comfortable and doing all those things?
So I was really, really excited about going to the parades and the county fairs. I love country culture. So that part was really sad for me and my family. My kids were excited about that too. So for me, running for Congress during a pandemic, I am the same as every other candidate. We are learning this together. What has been nice are the Zoom meetings and events, because you can go from one club to the next and just, click, whereas before I'd have to drive an hour that way and an hour that way. So
Right.
that connects me easier with the distance, but reaching folks door to door we can't do safely. So we'll have literature drops, canvassing instead of knocking on doors. But one thing we're finding really useful that we're going to implement is postcard writing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got volunteers throughout my district who are handwriting postcards, and they are to independent voters, persuadable voters that are the majority actually in my district. So we've seen movement from the blue Hamilton part to the suburbs next to Hamilton. And what's been really neat too is during the protests, little towns in my district were organizing their own solidarity rallies. And that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I went out to West Union to join them in Adams County, that could be a scary thing.
Right.
We did. We were at the courthouse with our signs and did a march. And there were people on motorcycles and with big trunk flags and their guns kind of circling us. But we showed up, and these were people that never voted before. And they kept it up. They kept up the communication. They have their own Facebook group, and it's growing, and they're talking to their parents. And Adams County wants 100 of my signs, and I ran out, so I'm ordering more. And I brought them up to county. I'm out. I've got to bring 100 more to Claremont County. So people are changing. People are paying more attention, and the people that voted for Trump that took into the message of the drain the swamp and I'm here for you, they're saying that hasn't happened. So those people are waking up as well. So we're trying to reach them with the postcards. We will do phone banking and the text banking as well. What's really nice with the Hamilton County Party is we make a huge team effort. So there's a lot of teaming up and working with each other and the whole slate card and, combining campaigns and volunteers. Because the get out the vote in Hamilton has got to be huge. Like even where I'm from in Green Hills, that's a Republican territory. So I'm writing myself those postcards like, hey, hometown girl, I'm here for you.
Right.
And hopefully that'll be responsive to them. So we are doing everything we can. And these things help too. Getting on social media and sharing things like this is huge.
No, absolutely. And so some of the good news is, and you mentioned the East Side Dems and Bonnie Dunkelman, you have some of the most, organized folks within your district that have really, just worked hard because grassroots organizing and put so much volunteer time in, and they're so passionate about helping the team. And, you can really see over time how that has started to pay dividends really throughout Hamilton County. And I think the next step is with your race and with Kate Schroeder's race, that we're able to flip these districts and make it not just a competitive race, but to win. And so it seems like the stars are starting to align for that. Would you agree with that?
I think so. I think it is going to be a big blue wave, and my district doesn't get a lot of attention because it's hard. I asked Aftab why did I step up to do this and not somebody else?
Right.
He said, well, Jamie, it's really hard. And I was like, you have to still go for it. There were 30 districts like mine in 2018 that flipped, friends. So do not ever discredit District 2. I'm not doing this for fun. I'm doing it to win because I believe in change and I believe in the people here. I've actually fallen in love with District 2 in my travels and meeting people. It's so beautiful here and there's so much to offer and so much potential. So I get frustrated when District 2 doesn't get the attention it deserves, but it can be done and it's going to take us all, and I'm fighting super hard for it.
Well, I can tell you, folks out there, and we've had a great number following along with us here for the whole half hour. It's not easy. 2017, the city council race was all in. It was a ton of work. I couldn't even imagine covering what was it, 5 or 6, 7 counties?
8 counties.
8 counties, and how much that is. It's just such a distance. It's such an undertaking. But a big part of that is your attitude, and you just certainly see that. It kind of jumps through the screen. Your passion and compassion and empathy for people, and so I think that's that's so important to take on an undertaking like this. You've got a great team with Brent and the rest of the team that you have there. So you mentioned a couple of the volunteer opportunities. If I'm sitting at home watching this and say, you know what, I really want to help Jamie out, because I think we know really if all the people that would vote for you actually make it out and do vote for you, you're going to win. So what are the opportunities where people say, and maybe if they don't know, I've never done this before, I don't know what to do, it's a little bit scary, I don't know about it. What are the opportunities? You mentioned a few things, but how can they actually get engaged with your campaign?
If you visit my website, castleforuscongress.com, there is a button where you can sign up to help, and that'll come straight to us, and we will reach out to you. And there will be opportunities like the postcard writing. We had such a great response for that. We ordered more, so I've got a whole new shipment here, friends. And that doesn't go out until September, so you have some time. A lot of people are home more, so that is one thing that is very effective. And I'll actually show you what that looks like here. So it's a cute postcard, and it's just a little thing that you fill out, but you'll get the addresses, and that's really important. We will be doing lit drops. A lot of those will be coordinated campaign things too, so help me directly, help the Hamilton County Dems, help the Biden campaign. We are all working together. So there are different things like the phone calling, if you're comfortable with that. If you want to get out there and get your exercise and do the lit jobs, that's a great way too. Just sharing on social media is a big deal. It's kind of the reason we buy the things on Amazon, because you can read the reviews.
Right.
So people
Right.
put a lot of weight into that. So put
No,
anything on Facebook, but also write, hey, check her out, because that's a big deal.
No, I think that's great, and people tend to trust their neighbors and their friends and people that they know. So when they get that kind of that referral, or they get that handwritten note, that postcard in the mailbox, are going to look at it. In terms of a lit drop, for folks that don't know, that basically means you're not knocking on the door. Some people are a little fearful or trepidatious of doing that. And so, in this case, under COVID kind of ways, we're actually you'll get a list of addresses, or on a couple of blocks, and you'll just go and drop some stuff off at their door, and so you don't have to do that. And we're maintaining our safe social distancing and all those kind of things. So I actually dropped your, and I'll take a look at the comments here real quick. So I put your website in the comments. Everybody can go on there. Please. Sign up to volunteer for Jamie. Not only that, drop her a little Scooby snack on there. I'm sure any amount that whatever you could do, even if it's $5 or $10 or $20, whatever you could do, or more.
So we just filmed our campaign ad, and it's going to be released next week. It was filmed at my parents' house in Adams County, in their old farmhouse. My sister is in it, which I was nervous about asking her to do, because she walks with a walker. And that can be intimidating to have a camera on you. But she was all about it. She's representing, and she's in it. And my daughter wrote the music for it when she was 9. She's 12 now, so that's in it. It has Manchester, Ohio, which is neglected. So it's District 2 in force. And donate to the campaign so we can get that on the air as many places as we can, because I think it's going to be very powerful. It speaks to the working for the people.
That's awesome, and yeah, these things are expensive. It doesn't pay. These postcards don't mail themselves, right? The yard signs don't print themselves, so it takes a ton of resources. So certainly, everybody would appreciate your support. Just looking back at the comments, Allison Mattern says, "Hi, Jamie." I'm not sure if Allison's still. Hopefully, she's still with us. Brent's on here doing hard work as your campaign manager, putting the donate link up. My buddy Greg Olson from Urban Sites, who was actually on the show with us, says, great work, keep it up, DB, because we're having great guests on here. Our friend Crystal Dandridge, who is everywhere.
That's for Crystal.
Crystal's here, stopping by, and Tina Harold says, wouldn't it be nice to replace the current non-responsive occupant of this office with Jamie? I've met her. She's an amazing candidate. Let's do this. So there you go. The proof is in the pudding. That's awesome. Yeah, so with that being said, the time just flies. It's crazy how fast this goes. We're coming up on 40 minutes right now. So with that, any closing comments? What words of wisdom? What will you leave us with in closing?
I want to be a role model for all of you. If you are thinking about running for office, you can do it. You will find the support and the strength. We need more people like us. And get out the vote this time around, because this election is super important. That it is a landslide victory. So push those mail-in votings as well. And do everything you can. That's all we can do, but know that is a team effort, and there's people like me doing the good fight here for you too.
Well, that's amazing. Truly words of wisdom, and I think it's a usual political thing we say. This election is so critical. I mean, it's not hyperbole this time. This time is like literally our country is at stake. I don't think that's hyperbole or overstating it. So thank you so much, Jamie, for, first of all, everything that you're doing. Second of all, for joining us this evening. We've had a lot of people tuning in here. Again, everybody, please share this post so we can get Jamie's name and her message out to as many people as we can. Go on her website, drop a donation, sign up to volunteer. And you don't even have to be in the 2nd District necessarily to do that. You can be anywhere within the United States even. And so please get on there, do that, support her and this campaign. It's very important work. And then how can we follow you on social media, Jamie? What are all your ats and the handles and Twitters and such?
I'm going to refer to my postcard. So, my website is castleforuscongress.com. Facebook, Jaime Castle for U.S. Congress, Democrat, Ohio District 2. Twitter is Jaime Castle OH. And I'm on Instagram too. I'm still learning that platform.
Got it.
Look for Jaime Castle, Ohio. And
there you go.
Jaime.
Perfect. Well, we could probably get linked to it off of your website. And while we're there, we can sign up to volunteer and donate. So that's perfect. So, hey, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was great. I love your energy, your positivity. We need more Jaime Castles, starting with this one in the U.S. Congress, especially in the 2nd District. Everybody, speaking of Jill Schiller, who we mentioned earlier, we're going to have Jill on the show next Monday, I believe, at 7 p.m., so that'll be great. You're going to want to tune in for that. Of course, follow me at Derek Bauman. After we get done here, this will be uploaded for posterity onto my YouTube channel. You can find me on there, Derek Bauman. Give me a subscribe, a follow, all of those kinds of things. And Jamie, with that being said, I know you're busy, so we're going to let you get back to work and back to your family as well. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, everybody in OH2 and all of Cincinnati. I love you as always. Everybody be safe and have a great evening.